Hello, Mr. Hertzog's class. This is Mr. Taylor. I'm going to show you today how you can create an account in NoodleTools and use that to cite your sources from the databases and also to help you cite some things you might find online. I'm here on the speed dial page, and we really just need to get to Google Drive. So however you typically do that, whether you use that link or a different one. Then in the upper right-hand corner, there is a Google Apps button. You'll want to hit that Apps button and scroll the whole way down to the bottom. As long as you're logged into your Penn Manor school account, the NoodleTools guy should appear. If he doesn't appear, log out and log back in. Every once in a while, we do have an issue with that, but usually it fixes if you log out and log back in. When we click on the NoodleTools guy, a couple of things might happen. One, you may have to choose your account. So here it's asking me to choose between my school account and then my personal account. So you'll want to make sure that you're in your school account. And what the screen that you might get might look a little bit different than mine. It might ask you to update some of your information. That might be your year of graduation, or it might be your just to validate your info. Just go ahead and do that, and then you should be able to get to this screen. You may have to pick high school is the other thing. Year of graduation and high school are the two that usually pop up. So from this screen, we are on the projects page, and we're on the projects tab. These tabs are going to be important at the top. Mostly we'll use projects and use sources. The dashboard page is kind of important too. So we're going to make a new project. The project, you can call it CP Comp, research paper. Well, it works just fine. CP Comp, research paper, fall 2020. And I am in the MLA format, but you can choose the APA format or you can choose the Chicago format. What's nice too is you can switch between them. So if you decide at some point that you actually would be better off writing in a different format, you can do that. But those three styles are all available to you. And again, I know that you've practiced those during your writings so far this course. Typically, the junior level is acceptable in all three formats. However, if you're doing some pretty advanced citations online, you may need to bump it up to the advanced. I'd avoid doing that unless you had to. But there are some things, if you're citing a lot of government documents or a plan to cite a lot of government documents, you may just want to go ahead and use advanced. All right, at that point, you can go ahead and hit submit. I'll leave it in the MLA format for now. And I'll be taken to the dashboard page. So I've created a project. Since I've created the project, I'll want to decide if I want to fill in any of this information right here to help me stay organized. You may also want to share, and that's probably the most important thing of the part of the dashboard page is the ability to share. So you can share with a project inbox, and you can do that by, if there's anything, you can do that by typing in Mr. Hertzog's name if he wants you to share with him. You can also, and maybe this is even more important, if you are collaborating with someone else, you can add other students. So if you add other students, you're going to go ahead in here and type in student ID. It'll be the ID number at student or at manor.net, and then you can add that student. If I try to add this one, it'll say that does not exist. So you'll have to make sure that you get the ID numbers for your partners if you have any, or if you're working with someone else. Now, why is that beneficial? Well, then anybody who works here to add sources can pull from those sources. So it gives you the ability to collaborate if you need to do that. All right. So again, dashboard and then sharing and collaboration. That's all done right here. Next, we move on to the actual sources themselves. So a few ways to cite the sources and bring in your sources. One, like with the where it said new project, we're going to hit new source up here in the left-hand corner. When I do that, I'm given a choice. This will be a two-step choice, and this is really important to make sure that you are choosing the right options. If you choose the wrong options, you'll have the wrong citation. So, website, let's say you're citing a website, a lot of you will automatically be able to get your database citations from the databases. It'll make it really easy, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But if you're citing a website, you've got to look at what you actually have here and say, okay, is this or was this originally a web page, or is it something from a book that's on a website? Is it something from a journal that's on a website? Maybe it's from a magazine. Some of these will be more common than others. You might find some interviews or some recordings, something along those lines. So it does depend. Let's assume that you do have a web page from a website. Then you simply fill in the information. You'll want to make sure that you fill in basically as much as you can as far as these go. There are times, though, when you may not have something as some piece of it that you might not be aware of. Also, what often can happen is the name of the website and the publisher of the site can be exactly the same. That's not always the case, but if it is, you don't need to repeat the publisher of the site. However, a lot of websites are owned by a bigger company. And I'll just say something like if you were to grab an article off of CNN, it's owned by a big media company, I think Time Warner or something along those lines. So what you end up with then is you would put CNN up here and then Time Warner as the owner down here. All right, so websites are one of the things you're going to have to likely do manually, and that is by filling in the blanks. And then all you have to do is hit save, and it will save your citation to the main sources page. I do want to show you how to import some sources. So I'm going to leave this page for a moment and go back to the speed dial page. I'm here at the high school library. I'm going to go into the databases. I'm going to go down to opposing viewpoints, and I'll grab an article. Let me grab an article on fracking. Here we go as an overview. And now I have the citation tools that are all available here. And again, remember, each of the databases that you use have these types of citation tools. JSTOR has them. All of the Gale databases do, even if you use one that's different than opposing viewpoints. And there's one, an EBSCO database on Power Library that also has this ability. So we hit Cite, and then we can export to NoodleTools. What's nice about this is when I click it, I'll be taken right to a screen where I can look at the citation and try to decide if there are any errors with it, anything that's obviously wrong, and if there are mistakes, I can edit them. The biggest mistake is that there's some kind of capitalization error. Sometimes you will have titles that need to be fixed because they are in lowercase. And again, all the major words in MLA citation would be capitalized. So if it was APA, that is a different story. And perhaps you remember that from the APA before. I'm going to be able to import those references. So import to my project. It usually picks your most recent project. So here's my CP Comp research paper fall. I pick that. I'll be able to import the references. And it says successfully exported. One thing to remember here is that it's very helpful. It's actually, you need to be logged into your NoodleTools account before you go to export something. Otherwise, it'll have you log in. It's easier to do that first and actually have your account open and then go send all of your articles over and find them again if you need to, or find them for the first time. So here we are on the page. You can see my source hasn't shown up yet, but that's just because I have to refresh the page. Once I refresh the page, I'll have here my first citation. So again, all the databases work in a similar manner. You're looking for that ability to export to NoodleTools. Once you are finished with this page, that is, you have all the citations that you need. This will be later on in your project when you're really getting ready to put your works cited page together. You will print/export to Google Docs. That is what's going to allow us to make the works cited page. And so now we have a page that will be created that will follow all of the MLA guidelines. And again, if you were in APA, it would follow all the APA guidelines. If you were in Chicago style, it would be following Chicago style guidelines. So here we are. And you'll see it's got 1-inch margins. It has the hanging indent. If I had multiple sources, they would be in alphabetical order. The only thing that you may have to change in the in the header is to update the page number. One would assume that because this is going to be the last page of your research paper, it's not going to be page 1. So if it was mine, perhaps it's page 7 or something like that. And make sure that you get that info correct. And again, everything else here, the font, the spacing, the formatting, the way that works cited is identified here, all of those are already established for us, making the works cited page nice and clean and easy to read for Mr. Hertzog. So that's NoodleTools. If you have any trouble getting into your account, or if you have any difficulty in citing something and you would like some feedback on the best way to handle that through NoodleTools, feel free to email me. My email address is jeffrey.taylor@penmanor.net. And good luck with your citations. Have a great day.